Okay, we're all set.
All right. So, what paragraph do you think is better and why?
I definitely think this paragraph is better than the last one.
Okay. And how would you describe the second paragraph? Why do you like the paragraph better?
Well, the second paragraph has a really specific introduction sentence that kind of points to the rest of what's going to be going on in the paragraph.
Okay.
So we understand exactly what's happening and exactly what's being responded to.
Yeah.
All right. So it provides context.
Alongside the summaries, there's also analysis and explanation.
And that's the part that happens at the end, right?
Yeah.
What's the next question, Hannah?
What's the main point for this second paragraph?
What is the main point for the second paragraph? Thank you.
I think just to give an example of what Jacoby is saying, and to
the code of feminine politeness.
Yeah, to the code of feminine politeness, and to prove that it exists.
Right. 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 And it indeed exists in her life. Right.
Yeah. Something people deal with right
And also that women shouldn't feel like they need to follow that code.
Yes.
Or that women shouldn't feel like they have to leave somewhere because they're being approached by a person.
With very dry skin.
Yeah. Awkwardly red skin.
Flaking and chafing. Okay. What is used to support the main point?
There's sort of this example that when this girl sort of defied this code, she sort of fell prey to not being able to tell a man to get lost, and therefore she suffered this unpleasant experience at the beach.
Right.
And she supports that with an example.
I might even say traumatic.
Traumatic, yes.
Yeah.
Right. And how does the writer connect the example back to the main point?
She uses a lot of great transition words, like finally.
Yeah, she
later,
does.
And at first, I was angry. So
Yeah.
she has all of these, finally, later, at first. And she connects with all these transition words. She says, later when I asked Michelle why she put on the lotion, she follows it really nicely.
Yeah, and this analysis explanation idea that Paul was talking about is really more than just one sentence or one. It's actually several ideas. I mean, there's a lot of critical thinking going on. So I think it is the second paragraph really is a paragraph that does all these things that we talked about. It has a goal. It has a developed idea. It's not very fuzzy, or it doesn't have a lot of static. It's presented well developed. It's generative. If you look at the end of it, I mean, even within the conclusion, even the conclusion seems generative in some ways, and it doesn't stray. Okay, so if we think about that first part that was added, the second part, which is the same in both paragraphs, and then the third part, which was added in the second paragraph, how would you describe any of these? Like, how would you describe the function or what happens? So we talked about the last part already. So you said that it has analysis, right? And then the first, what did you say about the first one? You said something about that just last time, the very first part of it.
The first,
it provides a context, I think is what I said.
Context.
What else? How else would you describe these?
Background information on what it's going to be.
This one or here?
Oh, and the first one?
Okay.
I guess that kind of goes along with context.
Kind of prepares us.
Oh, good. I think it kind of guides us as readers. Wow, this is like a really strong marker. Okay, so I can make it all the way through. Okay, the second, what about the second part, that middle part that was in both paragraphs? The word example already came up.
Anecdote.
Oh, and,
Summary?
In what way is it a summary?
Sort of, it gives, I guess you can't call it an objective.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is subjective, because this happened to the writer. But it's an explanation of what happened.
Yes, good, okay. Okay, and what about the last part? Anything other than analysis?
Drawing conclusions. I guess.
Mm-hmm, good.
It relates it back to the main point.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, so we sort of come full circle, right? This brings us back to here. Okay. And if we think about, and I often describe this to students, if we think about the paragraph as a sort of micro essay, the same things that we think about in terms of the essay are present in a good paragraph. Okay? So, whereas this is often called, the first paragraph of an essay is often called what? I'm sorry, not of an essay, of a paragraph. The first sentence of a paragraph.
Topic sentence?
Topic sentence. So, topic sentence, this is like, like one of those SAT verbal questions. So, topic sentence is to blank as, okay, so just like we have the topic sentence as the first part of that in the paragraph, we could relate that what to the essay? What would be a comparable comparison to an essay part of the essay? What usually happens and it appears in the very first part of an essay? Yeah, thesis. So the topic sentence is sort of the thesis of the paragraph, in a way. And then we have we'll go the other way this time. So whereas in the essay, we have the body, it's also called the body in the paragraph. So similar, we don't even have its own vocabulary. Okay? And then we have the conclusion is in the essay, and this is sort of the analysis. Okay. So there's a great acronym, and there are many acronyms for this. And the letters are PID. So what do you think the letter P in this number 1 stands for?
Point.
Yep, good. Excellent. The point. Okay. What about the I?
Information.
Yep, good. Did you prep them before this?
Yeah.
Falling right on it. Okay, how about the E?
Explanation.
Yes, perfect. So we have the point, the information, and the explanation. Okay. So flip your page, and in fact, that is the system that we're going to be using. So the point is it's the tell me, show me, and the so what, right? And it tells you what each of them does. So the point is the topic sentence. It shows you different types of information, some of which we've already talked about: personal experience, definitions, elements, and then often information from readings or class discussions. And then the so what is how does this information relate to your thesis? And this is a pretty simple method for students to hold on to. And it is in some ways too basic, especially for students who are really good writers, and we'll talk about how you can change that up for them and make it a little more sophisticated for them as writers. But for some students, this is an absolute lifeline. And a lot of times, if you're working with a student who's having a really hard time with paragraph development, you could even pull this model out and keep it out for them. So when you're looking at their own writing, you can refer to it. Another thing that you can do before you get to their own writing is to look at examples. So if you would turn the page really quickly, page 4, you see there that there are some paragraphs from professional writers that use pi in a variety of ways. So just as you bracketed out put brackets around the part that was the P, part that was the I, and the part that was the E in the larger sample, can you do that for these paragraphs really